Okay.
We're good. We're live.
We're
It's
here. We're
Thursday.
live.
Well, welcome back,
Welcome back.
everyone. It's Thursday. I was just sitting here. I was listening to Melanie tell us a little bit about what we're going to be talking about tonight. And I can't believe that we're right back here because I could have swore we were just here like like just a few moments ago. You know what I mean? I mean, these weeks are really flying by, everyone. So welcome back to the 90 Day Devotional. We have William Goodwin and Melanie Goodwin with us tonight. We are your co hosts here at the 90 Day Devotional, and we are sponsored each and every night by Mindful Nuggets. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring us and letting us be here on your platform. If you're here and you have not subscribed, please do so that we can notify you and let you know what else is going on here at the 90 Day Devotional. So, everyone, hello, happy Thursday. How is everybody?
Hello. Blessed to be here.
Yep.
I love it. I love it when Mel always has a positive in every single moment. She finds the blessings and the smallest of things, and we should all be doing that. If you have not followed Melanie on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, you need to be doing so. She offers you a daily devotional. And quite honestly, guys, if you want one central source to see her on, get into our 90-day devotional on Facebook. She's in there. She always has a word that you can just really think upon all day long. So go follow her. Make that happen. Don't miss that. Melanie, tonight we're in Lamentations chapter 3, verse 24. The Lord is my portion, saith my soul. Therefore will I hope in him. Okay, number one, who wrote this and what are we actually working on? Are we still in hope like we were last week?
Yes, hope and trust and faith. Hope, trust, and faith go hand in hand. And I don't know who wrote this because I looked up the wrong thing. So I'm looking it up now.
No, you're good. That's what we're here for, right? So,
Yes.
everybody who's out on YouTube, come and join us. Grab your Bible and come be with us.
Yeah. Last week we were talking about what do we put our hope in our trust? Because David is going years now. He's realizing his mortality. And, we get to a point is that what's left in life on it? There's got to be more. And you go through all these strifes, you go through all these seasons and everything. You've been chased, you've been bullied, you've been through a lot, and you're running a kingdom on top of this at the same time. All right, and then you get to a point. I guess we're at that point too now. So what's next in our life? And we can only put trust in God because that's really the only thing that's really left. We still have a life to live out. I look forward to that, but I'm not going to put my trust in the world or people or things like that because they will let you down. Not that they mean to, but we always will because we're human. But God won't.
True. Okay, who wrote Lamentations is the prophet Jeremiah.
Jeremiah.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow. Okay.
He wrote it around 586 BCE, following the destruction of Jerusalem. And it's a series of poetic laments. And he's expressing deep sorrow and hope in God's faithfulness. And that's funny that it says that because what Bill was talking about, how David was speaking in our last study, he was also speaking in deep sorrow and in hope of God's faithfulness. He was, he was reviewing his life. So I'm not sure. Let's see what was going on in this time that Jeremiah is called the weeping. That's not a good title. The weeping prophet. Jeremiah is speaking from a point of view of witnessing Jerusalem being destroyed destroyed by the Babylonians. And, you know, for a believer, Jerusalem was like the holiest of holy places. That's where the temple was. They all went to worship. And, you know, that's where from there Jesus was led to Golgotha to die. So they never really thought that Jerusalem would end. And they kind of, that's where their faith, I don't know, from this standpoint, it didn't tell me whether Jeremiah was a Jew or a Gentile. But for the longest time, that was this, you know, we have, to give you something to compare it to, we have the city of the Pope in Rome that people think of the holy place. And in his time, it was Jerusalem. So to see that destroyed kind of made all the people lose hope at the time that they didn't think they'd see that ever happen, that that would always be the chosen land. And because of the people turning against Jesus, he said that he would cause Jerusalem to be destroyed. And so Jeremiah has witnessed that, and that's why he's the man of sorrow, poetic.
Well, let's talk about what does lament mean? You know, a lot of people don't understand that word. It
Well,
means really lament means to sit and grieve and to cry out. You release an anger. This is a great example of the drift. Michelle and I talk about this a lot. Making compromises along the way. They get comfortable. They they drift way out of alignment from God. Next thing you know, there comes this huge correction, and being the Babylonians take over. And God allowed that because they pull away from God. It's just like our nation now; it's pulled away on it, and there comes a time of judgment
mm-hmm.
and correction. And we're unfortunately we're just very poor historians. We live in our history, we drift, we compromise, we turn away from north. Our morals are nearly gone, which they are now, and everybody thinks that's okay. We can do that, and then all of a sudden, next thing I know, the shoe drops, and
You know,
then you're lamenting over this because you're sitting in the pain from your own actions, and you're allowing the drift.
right. We have so let's bring it to the modern day. We were just talking about this yesterday, and we talked about this Monday
Yeah.
on the Mindful Nuggets podcast. Um, Today, the world has drifted, as you said, so far away from where we were. Let's just go back 60 years ago. Okay. So, you growing up, William, you growing up, Mel, a different time frame of me growing up to a certain degree. I mean, I think I'm only just about 6 years behind you guys. But, however, you growing up and watching TV was not what you see today.
No, you didn't have any access to hardly
We prefer not
anything. You
to
had
see it
three
today for my
channels, and it was mostly for grown-ups. You know, just
Right. But we allowed, right? As you say, Melanie, we are sinners of the flesh. We're very much into the flesh. Back when you all were growing up, I was growing up, we went to church every Sunday morning, every Sunday night, every Wednesday night. To find a church today, even in my area, I don't know how it is in Tennessee where you're at. In my area, you will not find a church that does church on Wednesday nights. And if they do, they are a non-denominational and they're trying to make it work.
well, we're in the Bible Belt, so we do have
we do have Wednesday night
Sunday
studies,
morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday
Wednesday
evening
night.
services
Yeah.
at most churches that I'm aware of.
Well,
And technically where I'm at is considered the Bible Belt as well. But do you see how far it's drifted from you all still holding on to what is to be? and how far away we've
Right.
gotten.
Okay.
Well, I do
Well,
know that our church, when we go, says it's very difficult to get people to come, and the attendance on Wednesday night is way lower than it is on Sunday morning.
But let's go even to how you two were in your younger days. Did you guys go to church in your younger days?
yeah.
As teenagers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you go to the same church?
No.
No.
No. Okay, but you went to church. My mom and dad met in church, same church, but drifted away from that after they got married. So when you all got married, have you stayed in church?
Off and on.
Off and on.
So what I'm saying, we have this, there is a, I'm reflecting back and I'm just looking over the years when we talk about drifting away, we as a society have drifted away from what God created this earth to be.
Right. The big question
Sorry.
here is, what does it cost? We take a small step, and you can take a small step towards or away.
And what's
You're
it
never
costing
still.
us now?
Yeah.
Well, here's the
And
thing is when you take the small step, you don't see the consequence
That's right.
until you
not
take
until you,
too many leaps, and then you've leaped into a pit.
That's right.
well, it's basically it's eating a cookie because it really tastes good. But when we start eating cookies every night, guess what?
Or if
It's
you don't just eat a few cookies in that time that you said, oh, it tastes good, and then you eat the whole pack,
Then you get sick.
then the next morning you feel horrible.
yeah.
But
And you
it's
continue to do it over a course of time. Now you created a disease
right.
process. So
Well,
Correct.
we have a disease going on in our world right now.
so it goes back to the point is, like we say, we live in history, but poor historians, because we know this. There's countless times throughout the ages that represent this.
Oh, absolutely.
And yet, why do we still do it?
You know, I think one of the reasons we're such poor historians is because back in Jeremiah's time, there was not many written word,
No.
and it was not readily accessible to everyone.
So
You
what's
had to
our
be,
excuse?
you had to be, that's the reason why we are, is because they had to be more intentional with sharing their stories and
That's
their
right.
histories. So they spoke that every day at home. And many of the blessings and things that the Jewish people did were to remind them of what they had come through.
That is a very solid point, Melanie,
And
because
we
it,
don't do that anymore.
no, and that's a big issue. Like I
We're
said before, that
disconnected.
you see the young and the old, you don't see them talking, not like we used to when we grew up. They're all
Oh
too
no,
busy.
it's this now.
Yeah, it's on the phone. All right, but
Yeah, my
because of that,
grandparents talked to us. We didn't have electronics, and we didn't really want to watch TV because
but
there was nothing of interest for our age to watch TV. So we sat around and listened to our grandparents speak on how they were
but
raised and what was going on in
right,
their that time when they were our age because it was
yeah,
different. It was a different time for them. So it was interesting to hear what all they had to kind of go through.
or how many
We'll
miles they
kind of
walked in the
have
snow,
wisdom
but
as well.
it's to go to school and all that. But the
But
point being,
that stuck with you, didn't it? That stuck
yeah,
with you.
but think about it this way: how do we retain information? We tell stories.
We do. We tell
Same way the
stories. So
Bible
what we
tells
see,
us.
what we hear,
We
and
We
we
tell
hear
in
by the
stories.
word.
yeah.
Be
We
hearers and
live in our
doers of the
stories.
words.
And we live in our story as well. So whatever story we make up is
That's the
what we
whole
live.
point. But when the word is passed down, the borders are relaxed, the boundaries are crossed.
Well,
One little sin's not going to hurt.
I think we also became kind of lackadaisical in the fact that I don't need to
Mm-hmm.
tell you about history anymore and remind you that it
I got YouTube.
occurred and what my grandfather lived through or my dad was in the service and did. We don't do that because we go, oh, they can read that in a book or they can watch a movie on it nowadays.
Oh,
Some sort of
exactly. Why would you go read
documentary.
the book? You can go watch the movie.
Yeah.
I
But the
mean,
movie is
let's be
written on
real
a
here.
truth based on by whose perspective. See, if we lose that,
Well, that's the thing is it's too far removed for it to have a genuine
the
impact.
emotional. tie-in. And
That
now,
makes it then stick into your memory that, hey,
if
that
you
happened to
sit
somebody
down
that's in my family.
with a World War II veteran, which
Right.
it's almost gone completely now. We've had the opportunity. I have the opportunity to talk to a lot of them before they pass. That is gone information. This that transference. Now, nobody's from the Civil War is remaining. That could have passed on in 1900, so forth. These things, a generation, that's what was we were talking about before. It's the only way we had to talk about it. So we know who we are, where we came from. But it's also a good way to carry generational sin too.
Oh,
In those
absolutely.
stores on it.
Absolutely.
And so when we're getting into this, it's like you set your compass, you're going across the sea, and all of a sudden you get out 100 miles and you're about half a degree to 1 degree off, and you don't notice it. And then you get close enough to land, you don't recognize the land because it's not where you were going.
Oh, I'm going to be Christopher Columbus, huh? I'm going to end up
Yep,
in the wrong
you're
area.
right. You don't hit America by accident, but that's not what you meant. And that's what happens when we start deviating from the word, because
Did
the
we
word
even read what Lamentations was that we're studying today?
I mean, we did. We said the Lord, the chapter is chapter 3 in Lamentations, verse 24. The Lord is my portion, saith my soul. Therefore will I hope in him. We have a lot of people who have lost hope very recently too. And it continues to be an ongoing conversation out here in this world today as to how much hope they really are concerned as to where things are going to be in the very near future. We're hearing more and more about the loss of hope. And this clearly speaks, as we did last week. So if you didn't catch last week's 90-day devotional, please follow us here on Mindful Nuggets and go back to last week's conversation where it leads into this week. Hope has been lost. The world has changed so much. We've allowed it to
yes,
change
we have.
to the point where it's at. As William said, we're poor historians. We are not listening. We are not hearing. We are going and doing, running and gunning, and we are not even taking one simple moment to be quiet, to hear a thing.
True.
Drop anchor, sit still for a second, recalibrate, get your
It
bearings.
truly is one of the key elements to getting out of sync with the world and back in alignment with God. And I think the reason why people are losing so much hope is because we placed our hope in the wrong area.
Yep.
Exactly.
We placed and gave authority to an area of the government and governmental bodies that we thought acted morally and ethically on our behalf. And
Yep.
we kind of forgot that they don't rule, we do. And we give them power and authority, but we are the ones who put them in place they are supposed to have a fiduciary responsibility
Exactly. I was getting ready to say that they
towards
have a
us.
fiduciary duty for it,
And nobody
they
does the
laugh at it.
checks and balances to make sure that that's actually happening.
Yeah, it's a mockery in a sense. But
It is.
again, we weren't like that before. We gave trust into something we thought we could trust in, and it's becoming is there's evidence now that we falsely put our hope into something. The thing where we lost it is we transferred the hope into people and took it away from God.
That's right. That's
Yes.
exactly right. I mean, we literally removed God from the conversation. And how much are you seeing more and more of that happening
This is the
today?
consequence of doing that,
And you're right. We are in the consequence of exactly what we have been sinful over.
we just
And
hadn't
now
had the
that's not any
Babylonians come over yet.
different from what happened thousands of years ago. We're no different than the
Nope.
people of this time in Jerusalem. And that's why um, Jeremiah has actually, it was his people, his nation that he watched fall as I did a little more research. And so, you know, we are human. And unfortunately, that is a fallacy of being in the human condition that you will. I know I've said this to myself. Why can't I keep in the forefront of my mind the goodness of God and all the good things He's done when bad things come at me? Because for a long time, I would see the things coming, and that's where my focus would go. And I would build them up and not build up God. I'd shrink Him down to my size and say, oh, well, I need to do something about this in my own power. I need to look to some guidance from somebody down here. And it always confounded me that I know full well all the good things He's done in my life, all the places He's shown up that were miracles. And yet, for the life of me, I can't keep hold of them unless I continually speak on them to bring them forefront. And then I can enlarge my God back to where He should be, as opposed to being this big and me thinking I can do anything about anything. And that's where we all get, don't we? We all want to think we get so far down the pike that we start relying on me. And then it's all about me.
But
And
then
then
when
I
we get in
forget that,
trouble, when we
yeah,
get into trouble, then who do we try to turn to every time? Who all of a sudden becomes the topic of conversation when we're in trouble and we can't figure it out. And now all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm gonna get on my knees and I'm going to pray to God. And then when they don't receive as they feel they should have, then here's that next question.
you see, God's big enough to handle your anger and your disillusionment. And He knows us full well. He knows that that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So He gives us the Holy Spirit to come dwell within us to help us take tiny steps of faith, tiny steps of trust, tiny steps of hope to grow that, to prepare us into such a state that that becomes our second nature.
Yeah.
Instead of turning to the world, we start turning to Him. But it takes time. I mean, I'm a terrible person when it comes to placing trust into somebody else. I'm more of a watcher, and I see how you behave and what your actions are before I start sharing more stuff with you. And I just always have been that way. There's nothing wrong with those who see the good in everybody and trust in them immediately. I don't know what caused me to be that way, but I've always been very cautious with that. And you do have to grow it, even with your personal relationships and your business relationships. You have to grow your trust and belief that they're going to do what you need them to do the way you need them to do it. And God's no different. He knows we're going to do the same in our beliefs and placing our trust and hope in Him. He knows He has to grow those muscles as well.
Sometimes silence also grows. Sometimes pain is the truth, tells you the truth. Sometimes you got to sit in the pain. You got to feel it. You got to understand the consequences. Otherwise, why should we change? Why should we go over and ask our neighbor what they think about it when we should be asking God if there's a real problem? Right. And if you notice, we go ask these questions for evidence, see that we're right, that they all agree. But the real perspective is the truth of the matter. We should be checking with God.
Well, the
Because
truth of the matter is, it doesn't matter if you're right or wrong. If it's not right, what the Bible says and what God says is right, then you're still wrong.
because God's always right. So you might as well go check the source of what's going on. The fact, I mean, I look at it this way. All right, the kids misbehaved badly. They started acting up. Now they're out of control. I'll put them in timeout. I'm going to take some things away from them. I'm going to let them feel the consequences of their behavior. And sometimes we don't have to listen to them whine, lament for a while.
Yeah.
Until they can reground themselves and start showing signs that the behavior is changing. Their identity is going back to where it belongs, what God created them to be, not where they drifted into their self-independence. Because we're not meant
That
to be
happens
that.
multiple times in the Bible. God has had to do that.
Yes. So it's the story again. That's when we were talking about stories. It's the same story, just a different era. The
Right.
behavior
He had to
is
do it
presenting
with
itself again.
Noah. He had to do it with, of course, the Israelites. And then when they turned against him, he told Jerusalem that that was going to happen. They didn't believe it.
I mean, we talked about this a little bit last week, but even my mom and I were talking last night about how this is a, I see our world today as a more Sodom and Gomorrah situation where he's just going to come in and it's going to be a done deal because we have just so far withdrawn ourselves from him, and he'll spare the numbers that are true to be. But in the end, here we are, and we allowed it. We became programmed. We've allowed the sin to come in and take over our flesh. And again, when we get in trouble, what do? He's the first person. How many times have you seen somebody plea and then they want to know why?
Well, that's a great point, Michelle. Because a lot of times when disaster happens or collapse happens, and we're a house of cards right now. It's just waiting to fall apart on it. But when that happens, the first thing we do is say, "Oh God, what help me." God's going to
And he
respond back.
will.
Do I know you?
He will help you if your posturing of your heart
As I say,
is
he knows
correct.
he knows your heart.
Right. But see, the thing is, when it says, "Do I know you?" is the question. Well, you don't spend time with me. It's like the kid that just goes away, doesn't care about the parent, whether they're alive or not, until there's a problem, and then they will go to the parent, possibly. But the point being is, God has a right to say, "Do I know your name? Do I know you? I believe I do, but you've been gone so long, I don't really know you now. Now's the time we can sit down and have that conversation."
Yeah.
That's where we start pulling back into him because he's a God of grace and mercy. But you're going to have to say, I've been wayward. I've been off the mark. I behaved badly.
Well, you're going to have to take ownership for what
Yeah.
you did to get you in the part that you're in. Yeah, the
As a
situation
person
that's
and
in.
as a nation.
And that right there, Melanie, is where people have a problem, is
Yes.
admitting and taking accountability. And you don't have to admit and take accountability out loud in front of anyone. This
No,
is your
just
No,
relationship,
you don't.
with God.
you and him.
Yeah, personally.
And I'll give you an example. My husband came in and because he's been really stressed out with, work and, the industry. He's in the car industry, right? And the car industry is changing.
Mm-hmm.
It's changing, okay? And cars are not flying off the shelf right now.
Especially at these gas prices.
Exactly. So he's been very, very frustrated. The overtime is no longer available. Things like, he had a plan
Right, based on what he knew.
based on everything that has, that plan has been disrupted. And if you've ever met my husband, he's very, I have a plan. This is the way it was supposed to be. Um, and with that being said, he came in today and he said, I just wanted to say thank you for telling me you'd be by my side. Because he's been real, like a lot of people, right? Like anyone watching this, if this is you, get in the comments because we understand. We're talking about hope and finding our hope again. And we find that hope again in Jesus. Okay. But he was like, I'm just grateful that you said you'd stand behind me no matter what. And like I told him, I said, I really want you to take these next 7 days. And I said, I want you to be in gratitude. I don't want you turning on the TV. I don't want you going to that phone. I want you to lay there for 5 minutes at least. If you got to time yourself, do it. But just be in gratitude. I said, and then I want you to see at the end of 7 days. So he has to start today. And next week on Thursday, I'll keep you posted. But he has to tell me how his life has changed or what's changed at all in his sincereness to be in gratitude every single day. It's important.
It
If
is.
you're
That's
out
that's
here,
that's pretty much like lamenting in a sense. If you look at the Lamentations, the book of it, it's it's about being honest in sorrow and grief, that
Right.
understanding that I really messed up. I am so sorry. All right. That's what I said to God on my deathbed. It's like, I really messed up. I
Same.
dishonored you. I did a lot of things I shouldn't have done. And I am really, really sorry for that. This becomes a condition of the heart now. It has nothing to do with your mind, nothing else. This
Right.
is a condition of your heart that you're honestly open with God. Because even in the biggest ruins, there's always mercy until He changes at the end when it's too late. Right now is a period of grace and mercy, and you got that. It is given out freely. You shouldn't abuse it. You shouldn't say, I got away with it once, I'll apologize and I'll do it again type of mentality. But this is the limitation. This is the spot where it all fell down. You're in captivity. You're trapped. There's nowhere to go. There's no boasting. There's no pride. There's no ego left. You've been stripped down. You're at bottom. But that's the best place to be sometimes, because that's the only way you're going to get rebuilt in a way that's on line with God, and it's going to mean something because you knew where you came from. You knew what happened, and you know that pain. You felt that. You sat in it. It hurt. You don't want to go back there. And then you make a decision.
Yeah, I like how you said something that made me think about you have to surrender your will. You said something about your ego, and that
There
is
you go.
basically your will on how I'm going to get ahead no matter what. It's going
Mhm.
to be all about me. And
There's no dependence left. It's not
by the
about you
time
anymore.
God convicts you, He's giving you little clues that it's no longer all about you.
Well, and
Unfortunately,
that you're absolutely right, Melanie. I haven't last night in my other Bible study that I am in, I taught the book of Acts, chapter 9 last night. And that is exactly what, we talked about was how you have to surrender. There is a surrendering that must take place in order to cleanse and renew.
yes.
That's Paul. Paul's writing the last part of Acts in the last chapters. Peter's at the first. But
And
even Paul's
placing,
a great example of yielding and surrendering, because Paul was absolutely a killer, and he could have had nothing to do with Jesus and what they were doing, defiling the law of Moses. And he wouldn't have anything with it. And he had zeal. So it's a perfect example of him actually getting knocked off the donkey,
He did.
hitting
He
the
got,
dirt
yeah, he got,
flat, not on his knees, hitting the dirt, got
yeah.
smacked off, knocked blind, and knowing God was God immediately before he caught up with it. That's the humbling part, because once you meet your creator, there is no ego in the way. You know who he is, and you
and
know
then
who
when
you
you
are, you
place
know
your
your
hope
place.
and trust in Him, He renews your strength and your
He
spirit
does. Well, see, that's a great
to
thing,
go
Melanie,
on and try one more time,
because
just
it's
for
not no
one
longer
little
it's no longer
minute.
your strength. It's his strength this time.
That's right. That's
There
right.
is power in our weakness. You'll see it prevail, because he moves things that no man can move. It's impossible for us to do. But when you surrender, yield is what it is. It's yielding your will, your ego, and
Mhm.
everything to his will. Then all of a sudden, everything falls back into place the way it was designed.
It's really just yielding your fleshly desires
Yeah.
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 because that's where we get in trouble.
It is
Yourself,
where
you're
we get in
yielding
trouble.
yourself. So you're not being selfish anymore.
Right.
You're still selfish, but you're yielding to the fact that the flesh, which is self, which is we
Hmm.
like to be selfish.
Like I said, my grandchildren, I've always said this was sorry. You can say sorry, and that's okay. I'll take your sorry the first time. You repeat the behavior, you weren't sorry.
Right.
And
You
that's
want
no different
permission
than a
to just get
sin.
away with it for
Right.
this time.
That's no different than a sin. I explain it to him. I'm very clear. That's no different than sinning and you thinking you can go to church on Sunday and ask for forgiveness, or even privately ask for forgiveness and turn right around and go do it again and then say, "Oh, Lord, please forgive me." And why should he? He
That reminds
will.
me.
He will. But why should he? If you're not going to change your behavior.
That reminds me of a lot of people doing it's empty rituals
You're right.
that becomes a religion and believe that I can get away with it if I just say I'm sorry and go do it again. But that's empty ritual. God does not like that whatsoever. You need to be sincere, absolutely sincere with him. But
I
he'll
like the
know.
analogy of you can say you're sorry, but if you take a plate and break it and you tell the plate you're sorry, it doesn't change the fact that the plate's broken.
That's true.
Yep.
That's
And
right.
and what we even as little kids, what we don't realize what happens when we lie or whatever it is that we've broken, that it takes so much more effort and energy to rebuild what you broke when you're trying to say you're sorry.
Yeah, that reminds me too. When a child cries, you know, a fake cry and a real cry,
Oh, absolutely.
and that's us. That's our people with God. He knows what's fake and he knows what's real. He'll listen to a cry. He'll hear you, and he'll know when it's true and it's honest. When that becomes honest, and true, then that's when he'll intervene.
And then he changes the position of your heart so you no longer want to go back and do that same behavior.
Very true. Last night I was hubby took the boys to go play baseball for a little bit while I cooked dinner. He was like, I'll just give you the house freely to yourself. So I turned on my worship music, was just, enjoying cooking dinner in peace and quiet and having that time with God. I just felt like that was a great opportunity. It was for an hour because I said, can you give me an hour? He was like, absolutely, I'll give you an hour. And I come in, and of course my worship music's really blaring, and I'm singing, and Joel comes in and says, Gaga, turn that off. I said, no, I don't want to turn it off. I said, but I'll turn it down. He said, no, Gaga, turn it off. He said, it's very disturbing.
Oh,
And so anyway, I told him, I said, come up here on the kitchen counter. I said, I want to chat with you. He said, why, Gaga? I said, when we're disturbed by worship music, that means your spirit's getting disturbed. I said, so if your spirit's becoming disturbed, then we need to talk about that. Well, make it make sense, Gaga. So we had
That's
a
good.
long discussion about how God talks to you. And he's like, no, he said, if he talks to me, he goes, I could hear his voice. I said, oh, you hear his voice. You're just not tuned in to his voice. And that's when he looked at me and again, he goes, I said, make it make sense, Gaga. So at 9
There's a
years,
lot of voices on the radio we never hear because we didn't tune in.
exactly.
see, and we don't have that anymore. Where in mine and Bill's time, I'm sure in your time, you had the radio dials, so you were used to hearing how it changed. But kids don't have that anymore. They have live streaming, so they don't hear how you can be out of sync
Right.
and not hear what you're wanting to hear, and then you can kind of be in range, but not all the way there,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes in clearer.
Right.
Fine tune.
Yeah,
Well,
Right.
that's what it
that
takes. The
that
calibration,
helps
the fine
us
tune.
understand more.
Mhm.
And you don't realize that that's a lost talent, art,
It is.
understanding because of what we have to associate it with.
We had to search, Melanie. We didn't go by genre and things like that. So we knew channels, but a lot of times, you know, we'd go to another city, for example, where
Mm-hmm.
was that station, and then we'd have to search until we
Yeah.
found what it is that we're looking for. And that's what God's like. You didn't go out and seek him. When you seek him, actively start seeking him, you will find him.
No, that's Matthew 7:7.
Mhm.
I thought this was so good last night. And our
It
I
is.
Matthew 7:7 is my favorite verse. Um, for so many different reasons. And Coach Paul last night, he said, Michelle, he said, say that verse again. And I said, ask, it shall be given, seek, and you will find, knock, and the
Not
door will be open. He goes, A, ask, S, seek, K, knock. He goes, what does that spell?
Ask.
I said, ask. He said, you should be continuously asking,
Yes.
always asking.
This is where alignment comes in. Here's a memo. The universe isn't a vending machine. You can't go ask and you receive. There's a little bit more to that called being in line with his will, and you're going to ask, you're going to receive because it's already done because he already planned it. But you go asking for whatever it is, you may be asking for something you don't deserve. You're asking for something you should never get because it's not good for you. Or you're asking for something because it's just selfish. There's many asks. That's why I'm saying you just can't say it over and over and then it just manifests. And that's something kind of irks me because that's not the way that works.
Right.
It never has worked that,
There
but
is
when it's alignment,
there
there's a
is
discernment.
alignment to that.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's exactly right.
There's a little clarification that's
Yeah, right. Well, there's part of the equation that most people forget. You got to be in line.
Yeah.
And you got to be with him in order to be aligned. And that's the prerequisite to start asking. You can start seeing things that you get. Even when you're in alignment, it may ask, you may not receive that or receive it in a way you were thinking you were going to receive it either. So it's not just I've got my checklist and I'm gonna put my money in and I'm gonna get what I want. It didn't work that
For
way.
me, I've got to a point where I really don't ask in my own power. I ask for his will to be done because I've gotten to a point that I trust his will is better for me than anything I could ask for. It's kind of like I associate that with those um, decorating shows where somebody comes in and takes over your home and you try to describe to them what you want, but you're not exactly sure. And they figure out what your style is, your likes, your
This
dislikes,
is a good analogy.
Right.
and they redo your room and you come in and you're like, oh, I could have never done it like that. I would have never thought to put that color with that color. This looks fabulous. I couldn't have done anything better if I had tried it myself. And I've gotten to that point in my life with God that I'm like, look, I can ask for things, but I don't even know one enough to know what to ask for, to know if that's even something you'd want me to have. Because we forget that oftentimes we can ask for things that will take us away from God. Even though it sounds like a good thing, He knows what we would do with it, and it would not help us in our growth and our journey with Him. So I've stopped doing that and just said, Lord, whatever your will is for me, I want that. Your will for me, because that's going to be the best thing for me.
And he's already got it planned anyway. That's the point. So
Exactly.
that's a good example of alignment and being surprised by what God has for you because it's always going to be better than what you asked for.
Well, everyone, if you haven't went and followed Melanie Goodwin on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, that is exactly what you're going to get in her devotional every single day when she puts it out there. So you need to go do that. That was awesome, Melanie, because I just was
Thank
thinking to
you.
some of the videos that you've done or some of the, reels that you put out in the past week. And it is always in that direction, here's, the way I see how God, and when you rational it out, it's very clear as to how, you should just sit back and be like, she's right. I couldn't have done it that way, but he can do it.
Mhm.
He can make it happen. And
You
she's
know it's not me. You know it's God speaking through me.
absolutely,
He puts
absolutely.
the words in there and they come to mind and I spew them out my mouth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I get it. I mean, you can hear it too. That's why I'm telling everybody. So, go out there and get into our Mindful Nuggets Facebook page, our 90-day devotional, and follow Melanie. You will have a daily, I follow it because I
Well,
have to
I
do
would like to say that you would think that I would have planned this, but I did not. The
it.
good Lord planned it. I just put random verses together. In my mind, they were random, had no clue when they would fall, what they would mean to anybody. The good Lord planned it all and put each one intentionally where they are.
Well, taking a small commercial break since she showed the book to everyone.
Small commercial break.
This is Melanie's journal that she put together, and Melanie is absolutely correct in every bit of what she just said. She did not plan for any of this to be where it's at today.
Nope.
She literally walked the path of God and said, "Help me out here." And she knew she wanted to do it, and she did it. She put it together. She just didn't know that it would come to where we are now. So if you have not received one of the journals, please reach out to Melanie or William. They will get you a link to get one of these and come and join us every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m.
Yes,
on
please.
live stream out to YouTube. So if you're watching us right now on YouTube, get into the comments, ask us questions, or be a part of the conversation. We will definitely bring you in, or come and join us here in live stream with us.
Yes, we'd love that.
I think too, with the limitations a little bit, if I may, Melanie, you were talking about Psalms. We were from last week. I got locked into that, but it's really a great thing because David lamented a lot. He had fear, he had anxiety, he had exhaustion, he had betrayal, he had sin in his life. He got into spots where he would also lament. And what happened is when he saw it God's way, he would say, "Oh Lord, I put my trust in you." When you start talking like that, and you're really sorry, and you ask for forgiveness, is basically what this is. You repent and you ask for forgiveness. What gets reestablished at that point?
Trust.
Bingo.
Faith.
And a connection.
Okay, great. And that's exactly right. Trust is starting to become reestablished because you just realize you're the one that was breaking it to begin with. And it wasn't God.
God's not the one who broke that. We
No,
broke
it was
that.
us because we drifted.
He's always constant.
And it goes back to Adam in the Garden of Eden. It was the first breaking of trust.
Yeah.
The disobedience, what we call sin today, was a disobedient act. And it was a breaking of trust between God and man. And every time
I'm glad you said sin, because, society kind of grades sins. And it says that one sin can be greater than another.
I mean, like a little
but
white
that's
lie.
not true.
Yes. But you see, that's only in society. In the world's point of view, one sin is greater than another. But in God's eyes, all sin is sin. And all means all. And it means the tiniest one that you don't think anybody saw.
Yeah,
Or
I
knows
took a
about.
paper clip from work, but I didn't
Right.
rob the bank.
If it wasn't yours and you took it, it's a sin. And it means it's the same as somebody who murdered somebody in
But
God's eyes.
Guess what? It compounds.
And then of course, because then you get away with it and you have no consequence because you don't think anybody saw it. And so then you grow bigger, badder.
Mm-hmm.
Do bigger things. You're right.
Yeah.
Badder things. More worse
By the
things.
way, compounding works both ways, folks.
It does.
Exactly. Yeah. Definitely. And from my point of view, I would much rather compound on the God side of the equation.
Yep.
Because he is unlimited and omnipotent.
And
I want him to be the bigger, greater God that he truly is.
Well, he's the one who will answer.
He's never changed.
Right.
We get so far away from him.
Well, he's incapable of changing.
Yeah.
He don't need to change. He's perfect as the way he is.
We don't want him to change because if he changes, there is no trust anymore.
And he's the same for thousands of years.
He's asking us just to follow his laws, his rules, the way he devised us to be.
If you love me, obey my commands.
Right.
My commandments.
Right. He's doing exactly what Michelle said. He's trying to get us back into the alignment that he created us in the Garden of Eden to be in with him, where he came down and walked and talked with his people and could be among them. And he misses us. I truly believe he misses having that companionship. I know if I had ever experienced it, I would miss having God, who created me, come down. I miss my mother and father. They created me, and they're in heaven, and I miss their connection and their ability to be with me. So I can't imagine that it would be any different than being with the creator of the world. If I got to actually walk and talk in his presence and see animals that recognized him come up and be with him, gentle, that would be amazing. It's something I've always wanted to do myself, is go on a safari and have animals just come up and be peaceful with me, not see me as a threat.
Or eat you.
That is possible. That is
Well, I'm thinking that's what heaven's going to be like, but I don't know.
oh, I have no doubt.
It's just like the father is. You gotta think his heart's broken.
I'm sure his heart's broken over
It's
how
just like
how we've
like
come
us
to be.
when our kids go act out like that. It breaks our heart.
Yeah.
You see that because we know what's going to happen eventually. They keep behaving that way. They're going to get hurt.
Well, he's going to call us home, and he's going to give you every chance that you possibly can have until you
A
can't
loving father
breathe
would.
anymore to turn back to him. You don't have to fix yourself. You can be the one on the cross that Jesus spoke to and said, "Today, this day, you will be in heaven with me."
All right.
All you have to
Yeah.
do is ask and
And
repent.
God went to every expense to make a way back home, and that was through Christ.
Yes.
Every expense. He did everything in his power to give you a way back home. It's out there. It's free, and it's available to you if you accept it.
That's
And
just it. It
that's
doesn't
choice
cost
is yours.
any. There's no,
Right, it's free.
no,
Well,
all
it
free.
costs you to lay down yourself.
It does.
And sometimes people don't realize it feels difficult, but how much they gain.
There's a reason why it feels difficult. That
Well,
spirit
in
is
life, there's always a cost. Is to be what price tag are you going to pay for what? That's the decision you don't have to make, and you guys understand what the consequences are. And a lot of
yeah,
us don't weigh consequences on it. But when God gave us Jesus and He was sacrificed that way, God knew the consequences because He knew you were worth it to come back home.
so true.
Now
So
you gotta see it that way, or you don't. I mean, that's all up to you. The fact is, I would prefer because I've been there. I've been at the gates and I've been back. I know what it's like there. There's no comparison here. I would love to be there. I really would, instead of being here. And so for me, it was a no-brainer. It's like if you have that type of peace and tranquility in your life, you don't have to worry about all this sin and all this hurt. It's a
true.
no-brainer decision. Well, is it worth it to not, be my selfish way? Absolutely, because my selfish way would nearly kill me.
I was gonna say when we're selfish, that's whenever we start down this
So
awful.
why would I want to kill myself? Because I think chasing society's definition of success, chasing money, chasing power, chasing everything. You're chasing in the pursuit of what?
I don't think a lot of people, I know I say this frequently, but I don't think people sit down and ponder why it is they feel heavenly burdened and what it is costing them in their life, in the scheme of their life. And, because the society and the world teaches you that you should have to work hard in order to progress, and that you should keep your nose to the grindstone and work until you can't stand up. And it forgets to give you the flip side of that coin, that when you do that, there's no life that you're enjoying.
Right. It's never going to be because I will take what I can get, and you're going to perform to the best of your ability. If you don't, you're fired.
But the most of us, I know for you and I, we bought in hook, line, and sinker that you're
Including
supposed
the
to
whole
work
marketing package
hard.
of house, cars, and
Yeah,
things and
Everybody
things.
does. Everybody does. And then there comes a point,
that God
it's
starts
going to
showing you little clues.
Yeah, you don't need all those things. You really don't.
And then you realize, wow, he can take my house away.
okay,
Wow,
yeah, he can take a lot of things,
he can
including your
take,
life.
my life away. I could have not woke up this. And this is what I hope people are hearing is that there
There's
is
that hope word again.
exactly. There is hope in the fact of you wake up every day being gratitude because now you're going to feel that hope within you that he is giving you if you're just doing some small things. He's not asking for a lot of great big, I mean, he wants you to be in his word. He wants you to walk his word. He wants you to speak his word. But again, be thankful for the small things that you have because you could have not woke up this morning.
Yeah, or you
Yeah.
might not be
I
on use your
looked up
legs. So
that statistic and I believe it said there was 150,000 people at the time that I looked that up that don't wake up to a new day, don't live to the next day. And I was like, wow,
That's a huge number.
that's a big number. I mean, I know we have a large population in the world, but still 150,000 people didn't wake up to see the next
right,
day.
but there was a motorcycle accident. Just we're in church and we just heard about it. That person woke up, didn't expect that they were going to die that day, and they did.
That's right.
So we got today, and we got the second. Might not have next
What
second.
are
I
you
don't
making
know.
of
It's
it?
not up to me. But the thing is, are you living it? Are you living it fulfilled? And hope is something
Well,
that
see,
fills your
that's the
heart.
thing, and I don't think even most people don't realize they're not fulfilled while they're working the same life and the grind that we were doing
Right.
today.
That's well, you got
We
actors
think
that
that's how
say
life's
that
supposed to be.
I made it here, but I'm not fulfilled. No matter and when's more enough
Never.
because
Because
it
when you
never
get to
fulfills.
more, there's nothing there.
When God
No,
takes you to the point when you're sitting there going, wow, wow, this
there's
wasn't
nothing on this
fulfilling,
earth
this
that
wasn't enough.
will fulfill us.
Right.
That's the thing. The only thing that will fulfill us is God Himself. There's nothing on this planet that will quench your thirst.
And again, God will come to you and he will tell you, wow, that really wasn't worth it all, was it?
Yeah.
I should have been, in your presence each and every day. And that would have given you the fulfillment that you were looking for. It's a hard
And,
lesson to learn.
well,
Really is. Pray these
well,
people don't walk into this lesson,
No, learn from
well,
our
hard way.
mistakes.
well,
Turn.
it's basically driving your automobile and not checking your oil, and then you burn the engine up, and you realize that's too late that your engine's burnt up. Now what?
Yeah.
And
So where
we
do
look
I
at
go from
insurance the same way. It's like, well, I had this catastrophe. Can I buy insurance now? It doesn't work that way.
Or I've got cancer now. Can I get some life insurance?
Yeah. See,
Wow.
but
It is how
that's
we
how we
operate.
think. That's how we act.
Yeah.
Well, it's because we
We,
can't see past our nose. We don't
exactly.
see the extent of the consequences and how far reaching that is. We don't have the ability. We're incapable of doing it.
Yeah. We really are. We're so dependent on the word. We just don't acknowledge that because without the word, we'd have nothing. We wouldn't even exist. But everything is created by the word means we're very dependent on the word for our own
Mm-hmm.
We
existence.
wouldn't be here without the word.
Right. We would not exist without us being spoken in to begin with. I mean, we came from dust.
And
We
we
didn't
need to
come
get
from
back to
apes. Less, yeah,
that.
or
That's where
from a pond somewhere. We actually came from dust. We were
Well,
created.
we only came from dust because he created the earth.
exactly.
Had
So
he
that
not
we
spoke
need
the
to
earth
get
and
back to
heavens
it.
to
And
separate,
he breathed life into us as spirit. No,
yes.
nobody can breathe life into anything on
Right.
this planet except for him. No one. Not a one.
Wow.
He's the only one we can put our hope and trust and faith in because he
And
won't
that's what
ever let you
fulfills.
down.
So trust gives you peace.
That's right.
Hope fulfills the heart. And
Hope
it fulfills
renews
it to where
you.
you can love again. If you experience love for what love is truly is, and not an emotion. And so when you finally trust him, and that takes us a while. some of us shorter, for some of us a lot longer. For me, it took a long time.
It
to get
depends
that.
on the age that he reaches out to you.
But I can tell you, when he saves your life, you start trusting somebody that saves your life, that cared about you that much, that moved things that no man could have moved, to tell you were that important to him.
Well, as we know, you don't get many opportunities to have two lives.
No,
And
no, we don't.
True.
we all three have been given a second life.
Yep, and that's why we can't stop talking about it.
Exactly.
Well,
Exactly.
yeah, exactly. I mean, I brag on him because what he did for me, he can do for you. I'm no different from you. I put my pants on the same way, one leg at a time. Some of us don't have legs. Some of us got one, but we
And we
still,
weren't prophets, we weren't
yeah, we
disciples,
still. I mean,
we
we're
weren't
all in,
perfect.
we're all in different spaces, but we're still human. And he loves us. He
Uh,
sacrificed his only begotten son for us, so we can have a path home. Period. That's love. If you go out in battlefield and a man flies on a grenade and blows up to protect you, that's out of love. That was selfless.
right.
And
All
he
right.
did that for you. He did it for each and every one of you. You put your name on it personally.
Well, I think that we have covered hope for
I
the
hope we did.
past 2 weeks. I think we have. I think we have. So next week, our scripture is in Psalm chapter 6, verse 44, everyone. Please, if you have not went and obtained one of our 90-day journal right here, our devotional journal, please reach out to Melanie or William, as you see it right there. And get that link so they can get you one of
We'd
these.
love for you to join us, subscribe, leave your comment. We'll get back to you. We love to interact, and we'd like your thoughts. And
Absolutely.
if you got something we need to pray over, put it down there.
We'd love to pray for you.
Yeah.
Our scripture next week then is, Return, O Lord, deliver my soul. Oh, save me for thy mercy's sake.
I think we were already started on that path there.
Started that conversation. I was hoping I was trying to get us to move in that direction, and we did. So congratulations on that. Everyone, that was your Bible study for tonight. We look for you to come back and be with us next Thursday, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. on the East Coast, where you will have your host, Miss Melanie, over here, and she will be speaking on that Bible verse that we just spoke upon, moving in that direction. So please subscribe and make sure that you leave your comments. Guess what? That helps us. That lets us know what you are here looking for, maybe needing some prayer. And we'll definitely add you to the prayer list.
Oh,
So
and we encourage you to do that same thing that Michelle has her husband doing. For the next 7 days, be in gratitude. Thank the Lord for at least a minute of something very little in your life.
doesn't have
It
to be anything
requires
major. I'm just asking them to take 5 minutes and be grateful for
you
something.
just recognize something outside. Just
He
say
can't be
that was
grateful.
beautiful. That is something nice. That was something creative.
Yeah, but he
You
can't.
You can thank him for your
reprogram your
bed
mind.
sheets, your bed, your hot water, your
Yeah,
cold water, your air condition, your fan.
So I'm going to say it again really quickly. You can't be grateful for this. It just takes 7 days. You can't be grateful for the same thing twice. You have to think of
Exactly.
them the rules.
that is grateful, and you've got something each day you're grateful for that's different from the day before. So try it. 7
Exactly.
days. That's all.
That's a great challenge, Michelle.
It
Let
is.
us
We
know.
encourage you to take it. See how it changes your life. Do it long enough, you're gonna quit talking about negative. You're always gonna be looking for positive. Guess what? When you look for positive, you're gonna start seeing opportunities where you saw none before.
Oh, but then you have hope.
You always have hope
Exactly.
because the opportunities are hope,
Right.
not demise.
Awesome. 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 All right. I love
Thank you
it.
for joining us.
Absolutely. Everybody have a great night.
Just be blessed.
Do
Yeah.
well.
God bless.